welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Liana. Today I'm very excited to be collaborating with not one but two of my friends here on YouTube. If you've been here before, then you'll of course know my friend Camille. She and I have collaborated a few times before. My other friend is Myricks. You may know her as Raw Paint here on YouTube. And the three of us are going to be collaborating on the topic of accountability in the beauty community. So both the community here on social media and YouTube, as well as the beauty industry, like corporate accountability. So I had actually had the idea to do this video solo, but then Myricks had the idea that the three of us could collaborate together, since we're all kind of fans of each other. And so I brought up this idea and everybody seemed to like it, and we're going to take sort of a three-pronged approach talking about consumer accountability, influencer accountability, and brand accountability. So of course I'm going to leave Raw Paint and Camille's videos and channels down below so you can check both of them out, because they have excellent content, and I'm so grateful that they wanted to do this video with me, and I hope that I make a video that's worthy of them. So if you see me looking down throughout this video, I do have a bunch of notes that I printed off. I'm going to start with the aspect of consumer accountability. So I am a consumer, so this is talking about myself as well. So I feel that there is a responsibility for us to buy from brands that reflect our own ethics and morals, and to not support brands with really bad or problematic morals. So let's say that there's a brand, maybe you've supported them for a while, and all of a sudden you see that they've done something in the media that you don't agree with. You could continue to support them, but I mean, why would you when there are so many other brands out there? That's the thing nowadays. Every time a brand messes up, they have to think about the fact that there are 20 more brands that can swoop in and take their place. There's really no room for them to mess up nowadays. So yes, it is our responsibility to take that into account. There's really no excuse to keep buying from a brand when there are so many others that we can buy from. In that same vein, I also feel that there is a responsibility for us to call out these brands whose words and actions are so problematic. Maybe their marketing tactics are questionable. Maybe they've actually said something that is incredibly harmful. So let's talk about, like, most recently, Kat Von D. I'm very happy to see that people aren't just letting this slide. People keep bringing it up again and again. You go into the comments section of any new post that's made on social media of her promoting a new product, what have you, and people are still bringing this up. And of course there are going to be the ones who say, oh my god, leave her alone. Let it die. It was like a month ago. But I mean, we shouldn't let it slide, because number one, it's not just her choice to not vaccinate her kids. That's going to affect everybody around her. Immunocompromised individuals like myself, people who can't get vaccines, elderly individuals, etc. Like, so many people are affected by not vaccinating. But additionally, more importantly, there's a trail of anti-Semitism in her in her path, that you connect the dots, there are too many coincidences. No, it's a pattern now. And I think people need to stop defending her on that and realize that when you've been with two people that have not neo-Nazi ties, two people at least that we know of, and the fact that she would name a lipstick selection with a K that has some very questionable ties to Nazi Germany, things just get a little cloudy. And again, I think we need to stop defending her. Other examples that are not as recent as this, Jeffree Star. If you don't know about Jeffree Star, I mean, there's so much out there. I first found out about him through Stephanie Nicole's video. And you know what? I used to be a fan of his. I used to be a fan of his. I would watch his videos. I thought he was fun. And I had even considered purchasing a liquid lipstick from him or two. But then I found out all the horrible stuff that he did and continues to do. It's not just an isolated incident from many, many years ago. It's ongoing, his behavior towards women, in particular women of color. And he apologized. That was not an apology, but we'll move on to that in a little bit. Kathleen Lights, Huda Beauty, all of these brands, we don't need to support them. And we can also speak out against them when we see that they're doing something messy and obnoxious. We can call them out. We have a voice. We can say something. We also have to be very careful about favoritism. Let's say, for example, that one brand does something that we don't agree with, and another brand does the exact same thing, but because we like that brand more and own more of their products, we're just going to let it slide. That's not okay. You know, I could easily have let the Kat Von D situation slide because I own so many of her products. I've enjoyed the brand for years. I've stuck up for her for years, honestly, saying that, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit militant in her veganism. She can be a little combative, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see anything terribly wrong with that. But I didn't see all the other stuff, you know? And so when I did see the post about her not vaccinating her child and then saw all the information about her anti-Semitism, like, holy crap, like, no, this isn't a brand I can support. This isn't a person I can support. Same with Jeffree Star, finding out all that stuff about him. Like, these are two people that I could have continued to vouch for because I liked them. But no, you can't continue to support people just because their brand has something you like. Again, this falls into the whole idea that there are so many other brands out there. You can find something to replace that. The last thing I want to touch on in this category is the idea that we should not accept apologies that are not meant for us. Obviously, I'm a white woman. If somebody is apologizing, like Jeffree Star did, for racist behavior, it's not on me to accept that. I'm not the person he's apologizing to. Now, I can't stop you from supporting him, and I can't stop you from accepting that apology, but I would like you to consider the fact that in what way did him apologizing for joking about throwing acid on a black woman's face to lighten her skin, how is that directed at you? How is that your apology to accept? How is it your responsibility to decide whether or not that apology is genuine? I think that it's best to leave that up to women of color who are most affected by his actions. And some of them have forgiven him and moved on, and that's completely up to them too. That's fine. Number 2 on this list, influencer accountability. Tying into the consumer accountability a little bit is the idea that many YouTubers still accept PR from problematic brands. So they themselves being a consumer, because they are still a consumer. They are consuming products like the rest of us. You have to question how much is it worth for them to stay on that PR list. Like, they're trying very hard not to sever ties with that company, regardless of what they may have done. So, like, even if the brand hasn't necessarily done anything wrong, look at all the people who try so hard to remain on that PR list by giving glowing reviews when a product is actually terrible, just so that they can keep receiving product from that brand, just so that they can be sent on those brand trips. They feel it's in their best interest to keep receiving free product. And I'm not saying that that's too generalized, too much of a generalization that everybody is like that. Absolutely not. Not everybody is like that. But the people who are, it shouldn't be more important to accept free product than to say, hey, I saw what you did, I don't agree with it, and I'm choosing not to accept product from your company anymore. And they don't even have to necessarily say that publicly on their channel. Just the fact that they do that behind closed doors and you notice as an audience member that they're no longer promoting that brand on their channel anymore, that says a lot. And while I feel that it is more important for somebody to say something than to say nothing, their actions do speak loudly. So for them to completely cut off a brand from their channel, especially when they have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of viewers, it's astonishing, you know? They have such a huge reach. And if suddenly one of their most promoted brands quietly disappears into the night, everybody is going to take notice of that. I'm sneaking back on camera for a second because I totally forgot to mention this, but performative allyship, which, if you don't know what that means, I'll explain it like this. Say you are an influencer and you decide to boycott a brand. Let's say that brand is Tarte, because a lot of people boycotted Tarte after their really terrible Shape Tape foundation range. But you're only doing this out of your own best interests. You're not doing this because you feel it's right. You're doing this because everybody else is doing it, and you don't really care about Tarte that much anyway. I mean, you could go either way on the brand. Let's say that maybe you were never on their PR list and you're really salty about it, so you decide to boycott them and, you know, stand alongside everybody else who's boycotted them. But meanwhile, you're still using brands like It Cosmetics, who has, about 8 shades of beige in their foundation. Or maybe, let's say you do like Tarte, and after the heat dies down, you go back to purchasing them. That's performative allyship. You don't actually care about the issue at hand. You're just pretending to. And the reason why it's called allyship is because you are allying yourselves. In this case, it would be with people of color who are telling you that this is not acceptable. But you don't really care. You just want to look good. That's performative. That's the performative part. And this happens a lot. And it's not great. A lot of people also refer to it as fake woke. Like, on the one hand, you are kind of drawing attention to these issues, but in a way that's really disingenuous. Like, if you really don't care about it, don't bother. Because I do see certain people repeatedly speak up on certain topics, but in the background, they're still doing stuff that is completely counterintuitive to what they're actually saying publicly. And it's confusing for viewers like me. So that's what performative allyship is. Now, the other thing here is that YouTubers, much like brands, mess up too. So Jeffree Star, Kathleen Lights, I could go on. They are called influencers for a reason. They may not see themselves as role models, but they are called influencers. They have influence over their viewers. And many of their viewers are young. So while they may not have intended to put themselves into a position of being a role model, they are. And regardless of whether they feel they should be, they need to be very careful of what they say and do, because the internet is forever. Once you put it out there, everybody has seen it. And even if you delete it, it's still there in one way, shape, or form. And the other thing to remember is that your audience is not just from North America. Your audience is international. So maybe you say something that it's not that bad here, but it can be horribly misconstrued in other countries. Maybe it's much more insulting over there than it is here. You have to keep that in mind. And the thing is, apologizing is such an easy thing to do, but so few people do this after they've messed up in some way. Like, you're an adult. Like, adulting should be easy, but it's so hard for so many of these people. And when people do apologize, it's the wording, you know, the wording is so carefully chosen in such a way that they're not actually taking responsibility for what they've done. It's the whole, if I've offended you, well, then I'm sorry. That's not saying I'm sorry to have offended you. That's saying, if by some chance someone is offended, well, I guess I'm sorry. But if someone hasn't been offended, then I'm not sorry. That's what that means. So many people also post apologies on the wrong social media platform. Oftentimes, the influencer's main platform is YouTube. They don't post an apology on there. Therefore, people will go sometimes years without realizing the person has apologized because they don't go on Twitter. They don't go on Instagram. They're waiting for it on YouTube and they never get it. People will post apologies on Snapchat or on Instagram stories. These things disappear after 24 hours. What good is that? Nobody's going to see that. And you know, sometimes sometimes you have to realize that apologizing once and moving on isn't enough. Sometimes people have to apologize, depending on the severity of their action, again and again and again, and show that they've changed through the course of their actions throughout the next several weeks, months, years, in order for people to see that they've developed and changed as a human being. Now, the last thing here is brand accountability. So, firstly, I want to stress again that the internet is permanent. So many people who run these social media pages seem to forget that and think that once they have posted something ignorant, stupid, harmful, if they delete it, everybody's gonna forget it and think that it was just never there. People take screenshots, people post it elsewhere. We see it. And it's not okay to throw somebody else under the bus, like an intern or another brand or influencer. That's not okay. You're a brand, you're a professional. You have to take ownership for what it is that you're posting online. And whoever runs your social media, maybe it is an intern, maybe it's a social media representative, or maybe it is the actual brand CEO. SEM. SEM. Whoever it is, they represent the face of your company. And if they post something inappropriate, that's your company. That's on you. So for example, if you post a racist meme, it's not the intern's fault. Okay, Tarte, it's the company's fault. Because let's say if by some chance it was an intern, which I personally don't believe, but let's say it was, that intern is still your company. It's still you. If you release a new foundation with a terrible shade range, you can't go and blame another social media account for putting a filter on top of it if they got that image from you. Beauty blender. It's still your image and it's still your product. Understanding also that whatever a brand owner does reflects poorly on the brand itself, especially when that brand is named after the brand owner, like Jeffree Star Cosmetics, like Kat Von D Cosmetics. They are the brand. There's no separating the brand owner from the brand in that situation. If it's, say, Maybelline, I don't know who runs Maybelline. You know? I don't know who runs Glossier. But Kat Von D and Jeffree Star, I know who runs them. I know who they are. And they screw up constantly. So, there you go. Like, obviously, if they do something, I'm equating it to their brand. And apologizing rarely ever happens from brands because controversy rarely ever hurts them. When apologies do happen, it's in the rare occurrence that they have to do damage control. Maybe they are suffering some sort of loss and they just need to save their own ass. Look at all the damage control the Kat Von D brand is doing right now. I remember Kat Von D herself, made her initial post, and then she backpedaled with a post, what was it, maybe a week afterwards, saying, oh no, I'm not actually an anti-vaxxer, I just have questions about Big Pharma, and yada yada yada. So basically I'm an anti-vaxxer, but please don't call me that because I need you to keep buying my products. That's what that was. And Tarte, when they screwed up, got a really crappy apology when they posted that racist meme. All the time, if they feel that their sales are going down or are going to go down, that's when you get the apology. But sales hardly ever do, it seems like. Kat Von D is probably going to do fine. Jeffree Star certainly is doing just peachy. The influencers I've mentioned, they've gone way up in subscribers and views. What does that say? And what does it say that some people are willing to boycott Kat Von D but are totally fine with supporting Jeffree Star and Kathleen Lights? Who, by the way, if you don't know, Kathleen Lights dropped the N-word really casually while playing a video game with her friends last year. If you can drop it that casually, it happens, you know, like it happens in your everyday conversations. It's kind of disconcerting to me that we're not holding these people accountable for their actions. They just become more popular. What can we do to correct that? That's what this video is about. And I've done more than enough rambling here, so I mean, I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect, but I would like to, as much as I can be, I would like to be an advocate and an ally to other communities and speak up. Not speak over, but speak up. So that's it for this video. Again, I will link the other 2 videos and channels down below. Thank you so much to Camille and my Trey for collaborating with me. You are making me feel very special. Thank you so much. And I post Mondays and Fridays here on this one. Bye!